What happened to Bill, Jen, Will, and Zoey? The little couple's transformation is causing quite a stir. Years after the cameras stopped rolling, the family's story has continued in unexpected directions, pulled into viral internet moments, real-world tragedy, high-stakes medical ethics debates, and a surprise return to the microphone. From teenage social media controversies to hurricane-ravaged Florida visits, from a neonatologist stepping into national-level medical discussions to a once televised family suddenly teasing a brand-new project, the little couple's transformation is causing quite a stir. So, what really happened to Bill, Jen, Will, and Zoey? We'll get to that shortly. First, we must travel a bit back in time. The origins of the little couple. When the little couple premiered on TLC in March 2009, it arrived during the height of the reality television boom. Audiences were already familiar with programs built around unusual lifestyles and family dynamics, but Bill Klein and Dr. Jennifer Arnold brought something different to the screen. They were not aspiring celebrities looking for fame. Bill was an entrepreneur, while Jen was a practicing neonatologist specializing in the care of premature and critically ill newborns. Their story was rooted not in manufactured drama but in the realities of marriage, medicine, and living with skeletal dysplasia. Both Bill and Jen have forms of spondyloepiphyseal dysplasia, a rare genetic condition that affects bone growth and results in short stature. The condition shaped many aspects of their lives long before television cameras ever arrived. Jen underwent 22 surgeries before reaching adulthood and would eventually undergo more than 30 procedures. Bill also spent much of his life in hospitals and operating rooms, accumulating more than 20 surgeries. Their experiences gave them first-hand knowledge of chronic medical challenges, physical limitations, and the social obstacles that often accompany visible disabilities. Ironically, the story that would eventually captivate television audiences began decades before the show itself. Long before they became one of TLC's most recognizable couples, Bill Klein and Dr. Jennifer Arnold had already crossed paths in a hospital. Around the age of 10, both children were recovering from surgeries related to their skeletal dysplasia. Bill would later recall seeing a young girl at the end of a hospital corridor and briefly entering her room. Jen, heavily medicated and recovering from her own procedure, remembered none of it. The two would spend the next 20 years living separate lives, facing the challenges that came with dwarfism, pursuing their educations, and building careers. Before becoming a television personality, Jen was building an impressive medical career. After facing discrimination during the college admissions process because of her height, she continued pursuing her ambitions and ultimately entered medicine. She became a neonatologist, a highly specialized physician responsible for caring for vulnerable newborns. Meanwhile, Bill built a successful business career and developed a reputation for his humor, optimism, and determination despite years of bullying and personal struggles during his youth. Fate intervened again in adulthood through an online dating platform. Even then, the connection was not immediate. Friends had attempted to set them up before without success. Bill later joked about how the correspondence began, while Jen admitted she was simply trying to be brave. What began as a digital conversation quickly evolved into something much more serious. Because the community of little people is relatively small and geographically dispersed, long-distance dating was common, and Bill famously boarded a plane to meet Jen in person. By April 2008, the couple had married, more than a year before the little couple debuted on TLC, meaning the foundation of their relationship was built away from reality television cameras. The central appeal of the show emerged from this balance between the extraordinary and the familiar. On one hand, viewers witnessed challenges unique to skeletal dysplasia, from home modifications to recurring medical appointments and surgeries. On the other hand, the series focused on experiences recognizable to almost any family, balancing work and home life, navigating marriage, and supporting one another through difficulty. As the show gained popularity, audiences became invested in the couple's pursuit of parenthood, including fertility struggles and pregnancy losses that unfolded long before they eventually adopted their children. This willingness to discuss painful realities helped distinguish the program from many reality shows of the era, and by inviting cameras into their lives at a time when disability representation was far less prominent on television, Bill and Jen exposed millions of viewers to experiences they may never have encountered otherwise. Across 12 seasons and numerous specials, viewers followed major life milestones, medical scares, career developments, family expansion, and cross-country moves. Life on reality TV, controlled access, staged elements, and boundaries. From its debut in 2009 through its eventual conclusion, the TLC series presented Bill and Jen's lives as authentically as possible, but the reality behind reality television was more complicated. Cameras captured major milestones, yet many moments audiences believed were unfolding naturally had actually been recreated after the fact. Real life rarely unfolds on a production schedule, so some of the family's most memorable celebrations were filmed long after they had actually happened, with birthdays, anniversaries, and family dinners often experienced privately first and repeated for production crews later. The challenge became even more complicated because both stars maintained demanding careers outside the show. Jen's workplace was a functioning medical environment where patient privacy and hospital regulations took precedence over entertainment. When production first attempted to follow her professional life, Texas Children's Hospital was cautious about granting access, and negotiations stretched on before the hospital became comfortable allowing cameras into portions of Jen's professional world. Throughout the series, Bill and Jen consistently established boundaries around what would and would not be shown. As their marriage progressed, they wanted children, but the path to parenthood proved far more difficult than either expected. Jen experienced multiple pregnancy losses, and a later surrogacy attempt ended in heartbreak as well. Having exhausted multiple avenues, in March 2013 Bill and Jen adopted their son, Will, from China. Just 7 months later, in October 2013, they adopted Zoey from India. Bill and Jen later explained that the timing was less a plan than a matter of circumstance, since they had been on adoption lists for years before the opportunity for Zoey arose. Adoption experts advised the couple that establishing strong emotional bonds with their children should take priority over filming, so the family temporarily shut down production following each adoption, keeping cameras away for roughly 6 weeks while the children adjusted. That decision mattered most during Zoey's transition, as she struggled with the dramatic shift from an orphanage in India to a completely new environment. Many of those difficult early months were intentionally kept off camera. Around the same time, Jen was also dealing with a life-altering cancer diagnosis, and cameras were only present because she personally chose to allow it. Bill later made clear that if she had wanted production removed, filming would have stopped immediately. As the children grew older, maintaining boundaries became even more important. Reality television has often been criticized for placing children at the center of storylines, but Bill and Jen deliberately resisted that approach. Although Will and Zoey became fan favorites, most of the family's daily life, from school to friendships, remained private. According to Bill and Jen, the kids themselves largely ignored the camera crews, treating them as ordinary background rather than anything exciting. The soft controversies during the show's run. As the show's popularity grew through the 2010s, smaller debates emerged around the family and the show's portrayal of disability. One of the earliest centered on the 2013 adoptions. To many viewers the outcome was heartwarming, while others questioned whether bringing 2 young children into the family in such a short window was too ambitious. Bill and Jen defended the decision by explaining that the 2 adoptions had developed independently of one another. Another debate emerged from the very premise of the show. The little couple was created partly to raise awareness of dwarfism, and for many viewers it succeeded, introducing audiences to accessibility challenges, medical complications, and social misconceptions. Still, some disability advocates questioned whether shows centered on physical difference unintentionally encouraged sympathy over recognition of capability. Ironically, other critics argued the opposite, that the series made family life look almost too polished, in part because so many of the hardest moments, including portions of Zoey's difficult adjustment, were deliberately kept off camera. Fan attention also extended beyond the screen. During their years in Houston, Bill revealed that viewers occasionally showed up uninvited at the family's home, leaving notes or hoping to catch a glimpse of the family. Most encounters were harmless, but they raised real concerns about privacy and security, and like many reality television parents, Bill and Jen found that viewers often felt entitled to weigh in on their parenting choices around adoption, education, discipline, and social media. Legal collapse behind the scenes and end of the show. By the time The Little Couple reached its final stretch on TLC, the story behind the camera had shifted from family milestones to a legal conflict. The central dispute emerged between LMNO Cable Group, the independent production company behind the series, and Discovery Communications, TLC's parent company, escalating into allegations of accounting irregularities and disputes over control of intellectual property across multiple unscripted programs. As the corporate dispute expanded, Bill and Jen found themselves drawn into the litigation. In 2017, they moved to intervene, arguing they were entitled to compensation tied to the show's financial structure, and filed their own claims alleging breach of contract, fraud, and disputes over ownership of their likeness and life story. In May 2020, a federal court rejected key portions of their claims, including the fraud allegations, and denied their attempt to reclaim intellectual property rights, though a narrower breach of contract claim was allowed to proceed. Filming had already halted during the legal uncertainty, and new episodes never resumed after the 2019 season. The little couple's transformation after the show is causing quite a stir. In 2017, the family relocated to Florida after Jen accepted a position at Johns Hopkins All-Children's Hospital in St. Petersburg. By 2021, 2 years after production had stopped for good, the family moved again, this time to Natick, Massachusetts, following Jen's appointment at Boston Children's Hospital and her expanded role as a faculty member at Harvard Medical School. Bill Klein, meanwhile, continued developing Rocky and Maggie's, the pet boutique and grooming business he founded in Houston in 2012, along with its product-focused arm. Even after television exposure ended, public visibility didn't disappear. Social media became the family's primary connection with fans. That controlled distance was briefly disrupted in 2023, when a TikTok video featuring Will, then 13, using explicit music for a dance trend circulated online and sparked debate about parental oversight, before fading away almost as quickly as it had gone viral. In 2024, attention returned in a very different tone when Jen shared an update from Florida following severe hurricanes affecting the region, describing damage assessments and disclosing the death of a close friend and colleague. Now, in 2026, the family's story has taken its most surprising turn yet. Will turned 16 in February and Zoey turned 14 last September, and as the kids have grown into their teenage years, Bill and Jen have started stepping back toward public storytelling on their own terms. In late March, Jen took to social media to announce that after years of talking about it, she and Bill were finally putting together a podcast together, joking that pairing the two of them with a set of microphones might not go entirely smoothly. The couple confirmed they're working with Victoria Levy, a former member of their behind-the-scenes team from The Little Couple, who they say knows exactly where the family's best stories are hiding. A permanent title was teased but not confirmed, with the placeholder Bill and Jen Make a Podcast standing in for now, and no premiere date has been announced yet. Fans reacted with a wave of enthusiasm across TikTok and Instagram, with many saying it was the first time in years they'd felt genuinely excited about new content from the couple, even as some continued to hold out hope for an eventual return to television. Alongside that lighter news, Jen's professional life has kept expanding in more serious directions. As a neonatologist at Boston Children's Hospital and a Harvard Medical School faculty member, she has become increasingly visible in public discussions surrounding prenatal counseling and disability-related medical ethics, lending her personal and clinical experience to national-level conversations that reach well beyond entertainment media. Bill, for his part, remains focused on growing his business ventures while staying close to home in Boston. Taken together, it marks a clear transition from a tightly produced television narrative to a dispersed, self-directed public identity. Jen's presence is now primarily medical and academic, Bill's is entrepreneurial, and their family visibility surfaces only intermittently, whether that's a viral clip, a hurricane update, or now, a podcast announcement that has fans more curious about the Klein family than they've been in years. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now, it's truly unbelievable.